This is no one from nowhere, and you are, and I am a spirit of God. Today I want to talk to you about the Anunnaki Stargate to Planet X, story of Saddam Hussein as King Nebuchadnezzar. First a joke. How do you make a Kleenex dance? You put a little boogie into it. It is a well-known fact that the late Saddam Hussein made over 60 million bricks to restore the walls of Babylon. He also thought he was a reincarnated King Nebuchadnezzar. He even engraved these bricks with the following inscription: to King Nebuchadnezzar in the reign of Saddam Hussein. In my opinion, he was looking for the Stargate of the Anunnaki Elohim, namely Ishtar, Marduk, Anu, Antu, Enlil, Ea, and the others. This is the biblical fury furnace. And what was really going on in ancient Iraq? What was really Saddam Hussein looking for? What was he trying to achieve where the Anunnaki Elohim gods last were here? And was Saddam Hussein looking for a portal device or Stargate device to Planet X or Nibiru? One thing is for sure, that Enlil promised he would bring him back in Isaiah 14:4. Enlil promised Israel that he would someday take up taunt against the king of Babylon, or the reincarnated Saddam Hussein. Quotes, "How hath the oppressor ceased?" In Isaiah 14:4. He's gone, but know this, that the Anunnaki Elohim made this earth, and the Bible is clearly their story, and left behind are ancient technologies of the Anunnaki. The shining ones of Planet X, or the Anunnaki Elohim as the shining ones and Planet X as Nibiru, were last here in and around 3760 BC, which is the time of Anu's, or King Anu's, the ruler of Planet X's last visit. In a morning time ceremony in which Anu departs Earth, Ea and Enlil, his two sons, await Anu at what is called the Golden Supporter. They hold several objects in their hand, that which opens up the secrets. They are sun discs per se, and they are splendid shining posts, and they're called the Golden Supporters. Their devices sheathed in a golden skin. Anu and his wife Antu stand before the Golden Supporter, which can only be the Golden Pillar or Tree of Life, a 45-foot tall device lined with gold alloy. The Egyptians said could drill holes in space. This device was mounted on a platform that resembled in form and likely the functions of the Ark of the Covenant. The device comes alive, the gate swings open, and Anu and Antu enter the abyss into space. Incredibly, in this scene we see two people flanking an entrance to a gateway in which a third person makes an entrance or exit. The sun and moon symbols can be seen above in this gateway, and the two guards hold devices, long poles with circular tops, served as an astronomical purpose. And we also equate them with the golden pillars at the entrance to Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. The planet is at the center of a biblical prophecy known as the Day of the Lord. The Day of the Lord is when, or called Nibiru. And the man in the catbird seat of this millennium is Saddam Hussein, the mass murdering Iraqi dictator with the Cheshire cat smile. Planet X indicates that according to prophecy, the last time Planet X was visible was in the 6th century BC, or the 7th, the day of the Lord, the return of Planet X, occurred in and around 550 BC. When prophecy said that Planet X was visible at 550 BC, in an extraordinary date, the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar looted and leveled the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, took 3 temple wise men hostage, and momentarily appears to have negotiated a deal with these temple priests to open a gateway to heaven. As the book of Daniel describes, he put the 3 wise men from the Temple of Solomon into a fiery furnace. When they reappeared, not only were they in pristine condition, they were not alone. They had the Son of God in tow. I have interpreted the fiery furnace as a zone of frequency or vibration that is the mouth of a Stargate or a wormhole. When the 3 wise men entered this gateway, they traveled to a distant place, possibly to the center of our Milky Way galaxy, or possibly to Planet X or Nibiru, and returned with the Son of God. This remarkable story is of very great significance in the age of terror than most realize, and with Saddam Hussein. It is a well-known fact that Iraqi President Saddam Hussein connected himself as being the reincarnated King Nebuchadnezzar, spending over $500 million during the 1980s on a reconstruction and the reestablishment of ancient Babylon, the capital of Nebuchadnezzar. Over 60 million bricks have been made to place in the walls of Babylon, each engraved with this inscription: to King Nebuchadnezzar in the reign of Saddam Hussein. It also has been widely reported by prophecy watchers and international news organizations alike. Saddam is saying he is the reincarnated Nebuchadnezzar. He is attempting to recreate and outdo the feats of the biblical king. And Saddam Hussein controls an asset infinitely more importantly and more powerful than oil or even nuclear weapons. What he has control of is the temples that house the histories, humanity's origins, and potentially the secrets of Stargates from the Anunnaki Elohim. Buried deep beneath the sands of Iraq are the secrets of the Shining Ones, or the Anunnaki gods, from Planet X. Saddam's actions reveal that he knows the political value of these secrets. Before exploiting the eye-opening story of Nebuchadnezzar opening of a Stargate, it is important to lay a foundation for this event. Saddam was engaged in a massive program to convert Iraq into a Disneyland of the ancient Shining Ones, or Anunnaki gods. In this program is a recreation of ancient Sumerian temples dedicated to the Anunnaki gods, the copying of ancient cuneiform tablets concerning the Shining Ones, and the retrieval of ancient Babylon's famed Ishtar's Gate from Berlin. Excavated by British archaeologists in the mid-19th century at Nineveh, the 25,000 cuneiform tablets assembled by King Ashurnabal are almost all now in the British Museum. These include the famous 7th century BC flood tablet, which relates to the parts of the Epic of Gilgamesh and contain the backstory to the account of the flood given in the book of Genesis. There are 10,000 archaeological sites scattered through this country, most of them not even fully excavated yet. In Iraq, historical monuments are a matter of national security. This is because they mark the locations of the secrets of the Shining Ones from Mesopotamia, namely the Anunnaki Elohim. It is absolutely critical to take a legendary further look into the ziggurats of Ur, without a letter. You can't even go in there without a letter of authorization. Ur is the biblical city of the Chaldeans and is in the land of the prophet Abraham, whom is the father of the three great religions of our world: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, which is presented as the ruins of his house from around 400 to 5000 BC, and can also be seen near the ziggurat. The ziggurat was re-engineered by Nebuchadnezzar, a monumental staircase rebuilt by order of Saddam Hussein allows the visitor to ascend to the second stage. The facade of the ziggurat still bears traces of American bombing during the Gulf War, or the mother of all battles, and is known to this day in ancient Iraq. According to archaeologists, gang leaders sometimes drove through this provincial towns with trucks and shovels, recruiting people to dig at poorly guarded sites. What were they after? As an example, by a recent robbery, the monumental robbers want knowledge. Thieves smashed the doors of an ancient museum and a glass display case, absconding with cuneiform tablets and cylinders from the 6th century BC. They left behind gold jewelry that might have been worth millions, but this didn't tempt them, because the cylinders from the 6th century BC about the Anunnaki Elohim are far more valuable than gold for the information they record. By recreating Babylon, or ancient Babylon, and by uncovering and disseminating the texts from ancient Iraq, simultaneously, Saddam Hussein can duplicate the feats of King Nebuchadnezzar and potentially pull the intellectual rug out from underneath Judaism and Christianity. Saddam believes he is to reunite the Arab world under Islam and knock out Christianity and Judaism. He seeks to retrieve the rest of the story and destroy these religions. A famous epic poem called the Song of Gilgamesh, which today is the earliest surviving work of literature, tells the story of a Sumerian hero, Gilgamesh, who many researchers believed that was one of Uruk's earliest kings. In the story, Gilgamesh goes in search of the stairway to heaven to the adobe of the Anunnaki Elohim. According to prophecy, additional primary targets of Saddam Hussein's duplication of Nebuchadnezzar's feats involve London, New York, and Egypt. Each of these locations is the home to obelisks known as the images of Beth Shemesh. These images are referred in Jeremiah 43, 9 through 13. Beth Shemesh literally means the house of the sons of God, and in the land of Egypt, the houses of the gods of the Egyptians shall be burnt with fire, says Jeremiah. Something profound and significant appears to reside at Heliopolis, located just across the Nile from Giza and the pyramids. Heliopolis was the center of Egyptian religion, and in its place of enormous is mystery of huge proportions. In the Bible, the name given to Heliopolis was An, or King Anu, and Sumerian texts reveal that King Anu is the ruler of Nibiru, or Planet X. And the Greek Heliopolis means the city of Heliopolis, or Helios, literally the city of the sun god Helios, or the light of life. And this is the house of An, or Anu, and it also is the priesthood of the sun god Ra, sometime around 3350 BC. And we can also find this in Mark 15:34, who Jesus called out to at his death, "Father, Father, why have you abandoned me?" He was calling out to Helios, or King Anu. I'm sure the concern of the United States was to contend with this modern day King Nebuchadnezzar. And almost at will, through the Russian or Chinese black market, Saddam Hussein could pick up nuclear weapons. The United States and Israel were prepared to use nuclear force against Iraq if necessary. This can be found in Revelation 18:21 through 23, and in fact tells of the future and utter annihilation of the city of Babylon. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, "Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians, and of pipers and of trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no more craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee." Bible prophecies concerning Babylon's destruction have not yet been fulfilled, because we have in Isaiah 13:19, it says, "In Babylon the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah." Isaiah's burden for Babylon in chapter 13 also included a very tense warning. "Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty." Sodom and Gomorrah were erased from the map, and by a premeditated and preventable thunderbolt from the sky of atomic proportions. It was a scene reminiscent of the obliteration of Hiroshima. And the smoke of the land, it says, went up like the smoke of a furnace, and Sodom and Gomorrah were gone. Enlil God promised Israel that they would someday take up the taunt against the king of Babylon, or Saddam Hussein, in Isaiah 14:4. "How hath the oppressor been ceased? The golden city ceased." Let's now look at the duplication of Saddam Hussein of Nebuchadnezzar's Stargate encounter. Nebuchadnezzar's Stargate encounter began in 576 BC when he conquered Jerusalem, flattened its walls, stripped Solomon's temple of all its treasures, and set the city ablaze, and returned home to Babylon with the treasure of the temple and a group of royal prisoners of war. The temple priests supposedly were forewarned before the attack. To save the Ark of the Covenant, the priests took it to Solomon's vault beneath the temple, sealed themselves inside, and committed ritual suicide so no one could know where they hid it. Nebuchadnezzar also took captive thousands and thousands of Jerusalem's citizens, including the holy men at the temple, and forcibly moved them to Babylon, the ruins of which are buried beneath the sands of modern-day Iraq, about 20 miles from modern-day Baghdad. During this Babylonian captivity, many strange things happened. Included among the captives were 3 wise men from the temple, a young man and a master magician named Daniel, and another prominent prophet, Ezekiel, who had visions of the kingdom of heaven on earth while imprisoned in Babylon, and later left the planet in what many consider to be a starship. Surprisingly, the Jews discovered that the Babylonians possessed long-sought answers concerning their past. This is because the Jewish and Babylonian histories emerged from the same original source in Sumeria. Most people and religions are shocked to learn that the stories from the foundations of their religions are copied of original stories that belong to another time, place, and people, namely the Anunnaki Elohim, because all roads lead to these gods. On entering ancient Babylon, the visitor passed the Ima, the temple to the mother goddess Ninmah or Ninhursag, which had recently been restored by Saddam Hussein during his reign. Ima is a highly significant word. It is the Hebrew word for terror. Beyond the Ima was Babylon's most important temple, the Esagala, the dwelling place of the sun god Marduk, the Babylonian name for Nibiru or Planet X. Nebuchadnezzar says that he covered its wall with sparkling gold in order to make it shine like the sun. In this temple was found a chapel or sanctuary for Marduk's father, Ea Enki, whom upholds as the genetic engineer responsible for the creation of humanity. Second only to Nebuchadnezzar's famous Hanging Gardens, Babylon's most famous monument was the Stage Tower or Ziggurat, Enter Meranki, or the house that is the foundation of heaven and earth, situated north of Marduk's temple. The Marduk temple housed the golden image of Bel the Lord and a strange golden table, which combined weighed nearly 50,000 pounds of solid gold. Nebuchadnezzar's Hanging Gardens of Babylon were one of the 7 wonders of the world. Growing up a huge 20 or 75-foot high artificial 7-stage mountain known as the fantastic Ziggurat of Marduk, the well-known Tower of Babylon, which Nebuchadnezzar restored, the Hanging Gardens could be seen for 50 miles across flat desert. The 7 terraces held trees, vines, and flowers, and were watered by a system of wells and foundation. King Nebuchadnezzar had this wonder built for his queen, who longed to return to her mountain homeland. Babylon must have been a spectacular, perhaps unbelievable sight to Daniel and the rest of the Jewish captives, sort of like placing a war-torn refugee during a war into a Disneyland today, per se. In the glory of the city of Babylon was the greatest city of Mesopotamia, the center of the New World Order. It was the playground of the Anunnaki gods, and Babel originates from the word Babili, which is the Babylonian language meant gate of God. In the story of the fiery furnace, Daniel and the 3 wise men refused to spill the beans to Nebuchadnezzar, per se, where the ark is, or how the Stargate works, and how the open sesame word means, or how to say it to open the Stargate. Furious, the king orders that the 3 be cast into the fiery furnace. The 3 men put on their coats, their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace, says Daniel 3:21. Their coats, their hats, and their other garments, you say? This is an immensely meaningful statement. Why put on any clothes at all if your body is about to be translated into a toasted marshmallow by the fiery furnace? These garments turn out to be more than just standard issue lingerie or long wear at the Temple of Solomon or the garb of hostages in Babylon. That is, they turn out to be anything like the coat, the hat, and the other garments the goddess Ishtar is wearing, and the goddess had a vase discovered in her temple in 1934. And Ishtar is shown wearing her helmet, or Shugarara helmet, a hat. Literally translated, Shugara means that which goes far into the universe. It may be more than a coincidence or sheer poetry, but the Shugara resolves the name of a radio source believed to lay at the exact core of our galaxy. Also resident at the galactic core is a black hole. It is possible that this is also the helmet of salvation described in Ephesians 6:17. Ishtar wears a heavy full-length coat and other garments, and this coat is called the Pala garment, and the entire get-up is a fantastically similar in description to those described in chapter 6 of Ephesians. There, in addition, is the helmet of salvation, and spiritual questers are all encouraged to put on the whole armor of God so you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness in this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. The principalities and powers are the angelic spiritual forces that work as heavenly governors and messengers in the heavenly realms, or galactic beings. And this is exactly the angelic level of the Anunnaki Elohim. Apparently some of them are harmful creatures that seek to attach themselves to human souls. As Armageddon, Jesus promised to send his angels to sever the wicked from among the just. Does the armor of God uniform describe what King Nebuchadnezzar and the three were in the fiery furnace with, or what potentially Saddam Hussein did find? What happens to those who don the armor of God, get up and walk through the fiery furnace? Where do they go? What Stargate do they enter? The detail is omitted in the biblical passage. However, after these three wise men from Solomon's temple entered the fiery furnace, Nebuchadnezzar and the king's men cautiously approached the lethal furnace. He asked that the three men appear to him, and what do? The king, and I am certain all that assembled, stands utterly astonished. King Nebuchadnezzar is expecting nasty, flame-broiled corpses. Instead, he sees the three wise men are in perfect condition. Did we not cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? Asked the baffled king. He certainly did. To add to the high strangeness of this event, a fourth person now accompanies them. However, this is not just any man. Nebuchadnezzar believes this fourth man is an angel, and not just any angel either. The fourth man is like the Son of God, or 33, and this is Jesus, the Son of God. Is Nebuchadnezzar telling us the three wise men returned from this Stargate and traveled with Jesus Christ in tow 500 years before his appearance in the New Testament? Maybe. And was this what Saddam Hussein was looking for? The Bible does not say what happened after the Son of God arrived, but we believe that it was some kind of technological advanced Stargate, weapon, power in this world. And Saddam Hussein truly believes that he was the Nebuchadnezzar of the modern day, And he most certainly would be more interested in acquiring this knowledge to hurt mankind and not help it. In the Ark of Crystals, we take a look at this exotic occurrence that defies the laws of nature. And the Anunnaki Elohim gods possessed the secret science of alchemy, the transmutation of elements, and they also possessed weapons of mass destruction and highly technologically advanced that we can't even fathom that is going on today. Remember, the truth will set you free, and you are and I am a spirit of God. And thank you so much. Peace and love to you.